Hello. All right, so I realized that I forgot to do the little bits that go at the beginning and the back of the book. So we are going to put those together real quick. And the first one I have listed as 3A because in the first book, I think it was originally going to go before page 3. In this book that we're doing, the Farmhouse Living Recipe book, we made room for it before page 1, and we made room for it after page 8. So inside cover, bonus dilly, page 1 and 2, page 3 and 4, page 4, 5 and 6, page 7 and 8, another bonus, and then the inside back cover. So if you have these good Lord, it's been a long day. I apologize. If you have the sheet, the cut list, it will be listed as page 3A and page 5A. So for page 3A, we have, and I have it assembled in this order. So A is going to be 5.5 by 7.5. We're going to score at 1/2 inch and 3/4 on the left-hand side. Okay. Then we have, let's go ahead and just do that. Now remember, we're not building this on a page. This is its own freestanding fun. So let's go ahead. That's the 1/2. That's our gusset because I want it to kind of lay nicely instead of just cattywampus like. All right, so then we take B. There should be 2 of these, which is going to be 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. And we are going to score at 1/2 inch. I have on the bottom, so on one end, right? Because this is going to be a flap. We're going to have a flap for the top and a flap for the bottom. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue those down. So this is B. One goes on the bottom and one goes on the top. We're going to line up this point right here where our gusset line, our 3/4 score line is. Follow along the bottom and press it down. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it over, and this is the other B. Same thing, bottom left. We're going to line it up with this point. Follow along the bottom. I do not want to be on that score line. I want to be right next to it. If we get on that score line, we're going to have trouble closing things. And nobody's got time for that today. All right. So we've smushed it. I'll clean up my excess glue. Yay! So now we have a top and a bottom flap. So we're going to open those. And now, oh no, we're not. We're going to leave those closed. Now we have C, which is 4.5 by 3 1/4. And I scored it on the at 1/2 inch on the left, the bottom, and the right. Okay, this is going to be a teeny tiny pocket. So let's go ahead and snip off our corners. And go ahead and fold and burnish. It is nighttime, so my light is not as good as it as it usually is. I'm going to go ahead and glue. Now, I want to close the bottom and then close the top one on, right? So I close the bottom, and I'm closing the top. I do not want this to cover the top flap. I am going to use this to put a cute little journaling card in, and it's going to help keep this closed. So this is our closure. Oh, poop on a stick. Before you do that, we need to put our back on. We need to put some decorative paper. So, I am going to put this on. Okay. That should be reason 528 that I prefer glue to tape. I would have had a hell of a time pulling the tape, the tape off. Okay, so, and then this, I'm going to go ahead and mark it. Go ahead and cut it. I'm just going to line up. Let's see, we'll cut it there and there. So, I've told y'all I work full time, so that's why I don't get to post as much during the week. But I also live next door to my parents. My father has mild Alzheimer's, and my mother's just crazy. I love her dearly, but ooh, she can be a nut sometimes. So if I have a delay in answering during the week to anything that you sent me, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube, just know that I will get to it, but I, at the same time, could be next door reminding my dad how to check his email. It's the little things that he has forgotten. He hasn't forgotten people. He's not confused about places. It's just tiny things like how to send an email, which he tries to do every day. Or why is his phone doing a certain thing? So I am IT support and doctor support. Sometimes I'm grocery support, which is fine, right? Because I know that they spend a lot of time, money, and effort raising me. So if I can give a little bit of that back, I will do it gladly. All right, so now that we've fixed what I messed up, this is our bottom flap. Here's our top flap. I'm going to put this right below. I'm going to center it on there, that top flap. Just want to leave a little bit of space. I like to tell people that we're still in the funny phase of Alzheimer's. And please do not be offended. I know that there is absolutely nothing funny about Alzheimer's. But in our family, we deal with things by laughing. So he has finally gotten to the point that once every 2 weeks, whenever he says, I think I need to change our satellite provider, I'll just look at him, kind of bite my lip and smile. And he'll say, we've talked about this, haven't we? And I'll say yes. And then he'll say, what did I decide? And I'll tell him, you decided to stick with what you got because it's what you know. And then he says, okay. And then we go on, and then 2 weeks later we'll discuss the same thing. But I try my best not to say, don't you remember? Remember we talked about this? Remember we did this? Because he doesn't remember. And it would just be frustrating to ask him if he does remember. So, we're not going to do that. All right, we are almost done with this little bit. So, here was A. No, this is A. These two flaps are B. Our teeny tiny pocket is C. And now we have D, which is going to be our little flaps that we're going to put in here that are really just going to keep things from flying out. So I'm going to go ahead and fold in my sides. Fold in my score lines. I apologize. They are 2 by 6.5, and I'm scoring at a 1/2 inch on one side. All right, so I scored at a 1/2 inch on the left side and scored at a 1/2 inch on the right side on the other piece. 2 by 6.5, scored a 1/2 inch on either the left or the right. And so we are going to be able to, we have these our two flaps. We're going to be able to put this and center it in between those two flaps, the hinge part, and that's going to help us keep it centered. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those down. So, after saying all of that, to say this, making these books has become a form of therapy for me. I did many years of therapy. I enjoyed therapy. Then I got dogs, and I stopped paying for therapy. But I have discovered that sitting and folding paper and cutting paper and putting them together is about as therapeutic and meditative as a person can get. For me, at least. All right, so now I'm on the other side. I'm going to line it up between those two hinges. Smush her down. Okay, so we have a top flap, bottom flap, top flap. And there's our card to close it. All right, I'll see you for the next one.